All right, so hey everybody, and happy Saturday. My name's Marysa Maggio. I'm really excited to be on with you today, whether you're joining me from, your car, your couch, your house, your home office, whatever it might be. Excited to be on with you today and excited to be going over the opportunity here with the group. That being said, I'm going to walk essentially through what do we do here, how do we do it, and why should you do it with Family First Life. Now, just to kind of hit the call off, before we jump into Sean, my name's Marysa Maggio. I've been in the insurance industry for about 10 years now, and I've been with Family First Life for a bit over five. So I've really planted my flag here and have essentially found it to be home through different ventures and through different trials and tribulations. Now, just to kind of start, how did Family First Life get started? Now, this is our CEO, Sean Mike. And one thing about Sean is when he sets his mind or says he's going to do something, he does it. Now, when he launched the company back in December of 2013, this company was made for the agent by an agent. What I mean when I'm saying that is he was an agent within an IMO and realized, hey, we could be essentially treating the agents a lot better than we are. So, like, how can we do that? So he went ahead and his mission was to have, an army of men and women who were making more money than anybody in the history of life insurance agents. And he's done exactly that. FFL it's just factually is the largest IMO by a far. And I think that alone speaks, it speaks really loudly when we think we're walking into 2026 and the next chart, which is going to show our growth chart. So 2013 launched the company, not a whole lot to brag about there. 2014, 1 year in doing 22 million as a business. I mean, that's exciting, right? Fast forward though to this 800 million here in 2024. If I'm looking at going into a company, I want to know that the growth is going up, not that the growth is choppy or it's, kind of here, or I want to know that I'm going into a company where the growth is going up. And that's exactly what's happening here at Family First Life. Next year, or wrapping up 2025, rather, I should say, we're going to issue over $1 billion as an IMO in simplified issue life volume. There's not another IMO out there that can say that. Again, not me, swaying my opinion, just a factual statement. So if you're thinking, hey, am I looking at the right company? Am I walking into the right place? Yes, you absolutely are. A company doing over $1 billion, a year, is absolutely amazing. And what we do and how we help people is amazing as well. Meet the team. So we have myself. I'm a two-time Hall of Fame producer, the owner of Solidity Insurance Group, and an integrity partner. To the right of that, you'll see my sister. She's agency owner of Epiphany Insurance Group, Christina Maggio, and absolutely amazing at essentially, this is going to be the people who are helping you get started right now within our group. To the right of that, you'll see Rami Hamadi, four-time Hall of Fame producer and agency owner of Financial Society. And then you'll see to the right of that, Miss Heather Robinson, agency owner of Just Serve Insurance Group, and also a two-time Hall of Fame producer. If you're saying, what's a Hall of Fame producer? What a Hall of Fame producer is somebody that's written $400,000 of issue paid premium on their own pen, keywords on their own pen, in one calendar year. We've done just that. So you're working with an amazing team. Now, why Family First Life? There's a lot of reasons that I could rattle off why that are really essentially going to be, you know, could be opinionated. So I'm not going to do that. We're going to go just off of facts. And these are essentially the basics I always go back to. And people ask me, why did you feel like Family First Life was the proper fit? And how did you know? First of all, we produce for, we're the number one distributor for all carriers. Now, if you actually think about that, like Mutual of Omaha, Transamerica, Aetna, Corebridge, AIG. These are huge names. So knowing that we're the largest distributor of these insurance companies that are dinosaurs in the best way, is important to know. So there's not a sailing essentially as it pertains to working here at Family First Life. Things that we're big on. We're big on leads. We're not big on let's sell your friends and family at every cookout or barbecue. Now, do I personally think it's important that everybody's family has life insurance coverage in place? Sure. Can you write your friends and family? Absolutely. But is it a long-term business solution? Absolutely not. So that being said, we do use leads, which we're going to hit on a little bit more later. But a lead is just somebody who inquired and raised their hand and said, I want more information about life insurance in some way. Training, we only are training with, you're only getting trained by people who are actually doing it and have a proven track record. So only agents who sell at a high level are going to be teaching you how to sell at a high level. Only agents who are building their business at a high level are going to be showing you how to build your business at a high level. Here at Family First Life, we're not confused that if you're not doing it now, or maybe you did it back in 2005, it looks a whole lot different than it does today. So we're big at giving training of what's happening now and what we're currently doing a good job of with now. So you're never going to get training from somebody who's writing $1,000 a month. That just wouldn't make sense. Bonus. This is going to be just one of many incentives here at Family First Life, but just for some kind of understanding behind our bonus. First and foremost, most IMOs, FMOs, they don't even have a bonus program. Last month, we paid over 4.5 million in bonuses, and that's just growing each and every month. I'm pretty sure this month we're actually looking at right under 6 million, which speaks volumes about the company. If you put the work in, you're going to get so much more out of it. In addition to that, override commission, no contracts, which is huge. Being an independent contractor, why would you sign a contract that states, you can only work with this IMO, for this many years under these circumstances? Don't sign a contract. So in essence, you own 100% of your business. Nobody can take that from you. Now, when you walk through the door, you're going to be able to choose whether you want to just be an agent. What I mean by that is you want to just sell insurance, which there's nothing wrong with that. You're like, I want to come in, I just want to focus on myself, make some money for my family, maybe supplement some income, whatever it might be. Maybe start your whole new career. On the other side of that, you're saying, I want to come in, I'm going to write business, I'm going to learn the game, but I also want to bring other people in with me. I want to build it like a business, right? That's the right side. And let's be clear too, guys, we're not going to favor you if you want to be an agent or if you want to build an agency. It's just good to have an understanding of where you're at and what you're wanting out of the opportunity, but also remembering that in time, it's not like you have to decide this on your first day and you can never decide to build an agency. We have a bunch of people I could point to that came in as individual agents and in time started building their group and they're doing amazing with it. So it's fully up to you. We're never going to push you one way or the other. Now, who are our carriers? Who pays you, right? Because you're not going to get a commission check that says Solidity Insurance Group or that says Family First Life. You'll get the Family First Life bonus, but aside from that, you're getting paid directly from the insurance company. Now, this is really important because if we think about it, guys, like genuinely take a step back and think about, is Mutual of Omaha, right? Is CVS Aetna? Is Fidelity and Guarantee? Transamerica, these companies that have been around forever, are they going to not pay us? No, they're going to pay us. They're happy to pay us. They're like, you give us business, we're going to pay you at a really great level. So these are just some of the many carriers that we work with. And we do only work with A-rated companies, which essentially means that the companies does what they say they're going to do. Now, how do we serve families? One thing I always went off of when I was trying to explain to clients, basically I'm on your team because we are on their team. Let's be clear, is I don't have a license to lose my clients' money. Meaning we don't need a securities license here. You can walk through the door with a life insurance license and you can make it happen. Now, that being said, what products do we work around? We work around whole life insurance, term life insurance, index universal life, health insurance, and fixed index annuities. This is essentially our bread and butter, if you will, and this is what we offer to families each and every day. Sometimes it's a combination of one or two, sometimes it's just one. So just remembering there's more than one need for every family out there, and I think that that's important to point out as well. Now, I had mentioned leads are essentially the lifeline of your business. What do I mean when I'm saying a lead? So a lead is a person that has inquired about getting life insurance. Now, when I first came into the industry, I worked within a company that has a 3-letter acronym. I learned a lot there in terms of sales training. However, it wasn't necessarily the best way to get in front of new clientele. Now, what we used to do, and this is not here, I want to be really clear on that. This is not here with Family First Life. This is not what you would be doing, but just helping you understand what a lead is. When I first came into the industry, I worked with a company, a three-letter acronym, had a lot of great training, but we did bait and switch leads. What I mean by that is, as an example, I would call Heather and I would say, hey Heather, I'm getting back to you. Did you get your child safe kits yet? Right? I know you have your four children at home. Have you got your child safe kits? She's like, no, I haven't. All right, I'm going to come by. They're at no cost to you. Now I get to Heather's house, and guys, we're doing everything virtually now. This is back in 10 years ago, we were face to face. And now I got to Heather's house and I'm doing this bait and switch. I'm giving her these child safe kits for no cost. And then I'm going into life insurance. And then by default, people were getting confused or frustrated with me, which I totally understood, right? But I was young. I was barely 20. I was like, oh, this is cool until it wasn't, right? Now, when I realized it wasn't, so to say, is the first time I saw a lead. Now, I saw a lead, and at the time, it was a mortgage protection lead. And it basically said, Dear Marysa Maggio, your mortgage on 123 Main Street in Malden with the balance of, your mortgage balance is 300,000 with Quicken Loans. If you die, if you get sick, if you get hurt, this will pay the mortgage off. Fill your information out and send it back in the mail if you're interested. Now, I'm sitting across from essentially a colleague and a friend at the time, and I see that he had just moved to a different company. And I see this lead. I was like, Tim, have you ever seen something like this? He's like, no. And I'm like, it's probably fake, right? Like that's what I genuinely thought about a lead. I thought nobody goes and just sends in a request for life insurance. That's genuinely what I thought as a 20-year-old. Now, that being said, he called that one lead in front of me, and the guy's like, and I'll never forget the guy's name was Andrew. And Andrew was like, yeah, I remember filling that out. Yes, that's my date of birth. Yeah, you can come by my house Saturday. Sure. Scheduled the appointment Saturday at 1. And I was just like, what? Like I was mind boggled that the guy actually filled it out. So guys, the beauty of working with Family First Life is we only work with people who have raised their hand and asked for help. Just like Andrew did on that mailer, so to say, that's who we're working with. So what type of leads do we work? Who are the people or the demographics we're talking to? We're talking to veterans about their life insurance. We're talking to people about index universal life needs, whether that's long term, short term, or just a permanent coverage option. We're talking to people about mortgage protection. And then we have leads that essentially, they'll be sent a piece of mail, they'll call in. We work annuity leads. There's a variety of leads. So if you're on this call and you're like, I hope I'm going to have people to talk to, you're absolutely going to have people to talk to. You just need to bet on yourself coming in. When you come in, there is going to be a lead expense. Now, how are the leads generated? Leads are generated through social media, direct mail, and Google search. With it being 2025, after the pandemic hit, direct mail wasn't going to do it. So we were digital basically in terms of running leads before anybody else really was. So we've definitely got the leads thing down here at Family First Life. So you're in the right place if you understand the need of or the importance of having people to call who have raised their hand and said, I want more information about that. And there's a lot of value in that. You don't want to be the person who doesn't get invited to the family barbecues because you've already written your Auntie Sue 45 policies and she's maxed out with every company and she's trying to dodge you because she's like, I'm not buying insurance from him again. Don't be that person. So here you don't have to be. Now, there's a lot of ways to get paid here, okay? You're going to always get your direct carrier commissions. Carrier renewals, meaning that when you write somebody a policy one time, you're getting paid for it until they either die or cancel the policy, which is a beautiful thing. Producer renewals, carrier renewals, override commissions, override renewals, managerial bonuses, producer bonuses, which I missed when I was talking, and integrity partnership. So guys, there's a bunch of ways to get paid here. That being said, taking a look at the compensation guide, if you look at the compensation guide, our starting contract is an 80 and we go all the way up to 145%. Now, what's great about this guideline is it cannot discriminate. What I mean by that is if you're like, oh, well, what if Christina isn't going to bump me to that 85? She's going to bump you. It's the guideline. So what I love most about this guideline, I've always kept this in front of me. because I was always chasing my next promotion. And if you're not chasing something in sales, in my personal opinion, you're going to have a really hard time staying motivated. So it always motivated me to want to get to that next 5 point increase. So you're able to move up this comp grid as quickly as you want to. But again, it's up to you. So coming in, if you're starting full time, or even part-time, 5K is totally doable. If you don't do that, quite frankly, I love you, but you weren't working. So my point is walking in the door at 80%, our goal is to get you all the way up that comp guide as quickly as we can. We want to help you. Everybody's on the same team here. Now, how does that work? What does that actual math look like? So because I'm bad at math, the person who made this slideshow is kind enough to be like, okay, we're going to use a person who is at 100% compensation level because it's a nice, easy number. So let's just say this is you, right? You with the blue tie on, right? Me with the blue tie on, right? Now, in your contract level is 100%. And let's just say you write John Smith the policy, and John Smith's policy is $100 a month. How you're going to get your commissions is you're going to take that $100 a month and you're going to multiply it by 12. Now you might say, why am I going to multiply it by 12? John Smith only paid $100. I know. This is the best part about the insurance industry. It can be the worst part if you're lazy. If you're lazy, you should get off the call now. I love you, but it's not going to work for you. You want to take that $100, multiply it by 12. That equals $1,200. At this point, you would multiply it by your compensation or your contract level, which is 100%. So that would be times 0.10. We really don't have to, or times 0.100. We really don't have to do that because we have the 1,200, right? Now, the insurance company is going to say, Christina, we trust that you do good business, that you're not out to hurt anybody, that you're just trying to help families and make a living while you're doing it. So they're going to advance you 75% of your commissions up front. So for helping John Smith with his policy, you got paid within the next like 24 to 72 hours, $900 deposited into your account. So you get 9 months up front. Now you might be thinking, well, what happens to the other $300 out of the 1,200? Great question. In month 10, 11, and 12, when John pays his policy in month 10, you're going to receive $100. He pays his policy in month 11, you're going to receive $100. He pays his policy month 12, you're going to receive $100, equating to 1,200. And then you'll continue to receive renewals on the back end. This is an example of helping just one family. So it's like, how many families do you want to help? There's no cap here. That's the beauty of it. Now, let's say that you want to build a team. You're like, I want to build a team. I want to do it. I want to write business myself, but I also want to help other people win. And I understand why that's important. So let's just say that this is you now in the red tie, okay? That's you in the red tie. And your contract level is 110%. And let's say that this is your agent, got the same outfit on as you in the red tie as well, but they're at 100%, okay? So let's just say your agent's name is Bob, okay? And Bob helps Mary with a $100 a month policy. Bob's going to get his $1,200, like we just talked about in this previous slide. Bob's going to get his $900 up front and his other $300 in months 10, 11, and 12. Now you're going to get the difference between your level and Bob's level. So that would be 10% in this scenario here, right? So you would make 10%, $120, and you would, just because you brought Bob into the opportunity. Now, if Bob is out there killing it and Bob helps 20 Marys that week, your override commission is going to look really nice. So guys, it's the beauty of being able to bring somebody in and help them duplicate what you're doing. Or if you're like, hey, I'm brand new, but I got me and 5 people who I think we'd kill it together. Your upline or whoever's bringing you into the business, they don't expect you to train them. Quite honestly, we love you, but if you're first getting started, we don't want you to train them. We talked about that at the beginning. We're going to help them get up and moving until you're really up and moving and being able to treat this like a business. But it's important to know like what's in it for you. Everybody wants to know that when they bring somebody in, you're getting an override, but above that, like in my opinion, and I've been doing this for 10 years, so money's a byproduct of this all. You can come in and you can be extremely greedy, or you can come in and you can be working hard, but also wanting to help others. And what I'll tell you is the second one is the way to be, and that's how you stay profitable long term. So just to kind of reiterate, what if, to our point, what if Bob sells 10 policies? Bob would make 9,000, you'd make 900. He writes 100 policies, right? At these commission levels. You'd make 90,000. I'm sorry, you'd make 9,000, Bob would make 90. Like, do you think you didn't just change Bob's life or help Bob change his life, right? Like sometimes all people need is an introduction to the right opportunity. I know that that's what I needed. Now, what if you brought on 10 Bobs, right? You brought in 10 people who were helping families. 10 Bobs is going to yield each Bob $90,000 and it's going to yield you $9,000, per every Bob that you bring in, right? That being said, it goes on, right? So if you have questions more about this, ask the person who invited you to this meeting today a little bit more about this. But essentially, you're making the difference between their comp and your comp, and you're also helping them build up themselves and build your business. Now, I talked about monthly producer bonuses. This is essentially what that looks like. So you'll see, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 200,000. You're going to receive that in a cash bonus. Now you're also going to receive a lead voucher. So if you write 20,000 in life, you're going to get $650 in cash, if you will, or in, a direct deposit. And then you're going to receive, as you can see to the right-hand side, 25% of your productions bonus and a lead voucher credit. So you would have essentially a lead voucher based off of the production that you had written. Also, what's in it for you in building your business? First of all, you're building your business, which is huge. But again, look to the right-hand side in the bottom of this graphic. Every new writer you bring in, so new agent that's issued volume that comes in your team volume, so you and anybody that you have working with you, increases by 10,000 or more, you're going to receive an additional 500 in cash. So as you can see, that will go on and on and on, 2 writers, 3 writers, so on. So even if you're like, well, hey, I wrote 18,000 last month, but I brought 3 new agents into the business and we issued out 80,000 as a team, you're going to still receive $1,000 cash bonus here because you brought 3 new people in who wrote business. So go you, you're building your business. FFL wants to support that. Now, our systems. So Integrity Marketing Group is absolutely amazing. I don't just say that because I'm partnered up with them. I say that because they've introduced us to so many different tools and technology that really just make everything a lot easier for us as the agent. There's a platform that Integrity more recently launched called Integrity Connect. It essentially is built in to help you as a brand new agent or help me as a seasoned agent just have a one-click login. So as I talked about prior, you're not captive to one insurance company here. You work with multiple different ones. That being said, sometimes you'll have to log in to Transamerica because America declined, and now you're trying to re-get all the information. With Integrity Connect, if America declines it, you're able to just go right back into Integrity Connect and restart the application with said next best company like Corebridge, and it will have all of the information you've already input populated. But most importantly for me, it will have you logged into your Corebridge account. So it's a nice, easy way to have that kind of one sign login, and it's just showing us truly how we can work from anywhere doing this, which is absolutely amazing. Now, 4 keys to see quick success here, and this is really what everything goes off of in this business. The first thing is going to be your lead flow. If you're not buying leads every week, you're going to fail. And I'm just flat like that. You will fail. If you're like, it's scary for me to think to come in and buy leads and spend $500 and invest in myself. That's really scary for me to think of. I don't see myself being able to do that. Even if I'm making, $5,000 a week, I don't see myself being able to spend money on leads. Like, I love you, but again, leave the meeting. Like, it's not for you. Lead flow is cash flow. Lead flow is the lifeline of this business. If you don't have leads, you will not have new people to call every week, and it's going to become really disgruntling very quickly. And quite frankly, like, We don't want to deal with that. We want people to come in and we put everything on the table on the front on purpose. We want you to back out of the opportunity if it doesn't sound like it's the proper fit for you. This is a business, therefore you do need to invest into it. The second thing is your schedule. The biggest people will say to me all the time, like, what is the number one reason why you see a new agent fail? And they usually ask me that because they're the new agent and they don't want to fail. And I heavily respect that question. But the biggest thing, because you would think leads or like they're just really bad at sales or no. It's their schedule. They don't do what they said they were going to do. So when you're going to set your schedule, if this is the right opportunity for you, and you're talking to the person who's bringing you in, set a realistic schedule that you can stay consistent to, come hell or high water. Like you can do that schedule. I've had people tell me really like baseline because it's like they're like, oh, you work from home. And like, guys, yes, we work from home, but we work. We work. And now I work from an office, whatever. My point is, we're working virtually, but we're working. We are in a Zoom office all day together helping each other. So the biggest reason I see agents fail, they don't follow a schedule or they make this unrealistic schedule that they're going to work 16 hours every day for the next, 90 days. And like, guys, that's not real. It's not realistic. It's just not. So what I would say to you is, hey, if you're coming into this opportunity part-time, I love it, but try to find at least 20 hours a week that you can dedicate to this business, or it's going to become really hard for you. If you're coming in full-time to this business, please set a consistent schedule and get with the person you're working with to make sure it does make sense. The third thing is going to be your phone script. And what I would even add here is your phone script and your ability to maneuver around your clients. Guys, when you walk through the door, just like when anybody else walks into the insurance industry, nobody expects you to know everything. To be honest, if you think you know everything, you're probably not going to be a good fit for this particular group because we're going to teach you things. Like I said in the beginning of this call, I came into the industry a decade ago, but I did not start with Family First Life. When I transitioned from my start practice company, what I will say, to a new company, I realized I was sitting in a new company seat. Although I had sold insurance at a high level, it was a little bit different. So I needed to understand the systems to be able to actually plug in. That being said, you might be like, well, the phone script, I would say it like this. To be quite honest, we love you, but we have a proven phone script that works when you're coming in. Once you're writing 20, 30, 40 grand a month, you can freestyle the phone script all you want, but in the beginning, you need to get great at the phone script. You want to master the phone script, what it says. The posture of the script is you're getting back to them about a request that they sent in, and also paying attention to your influxes in your tone, your pauses in your script, things like that. Because as a new agent, I always try to keep it close to me and not forget what it felt like on my first few dial days. And guys, it was scary. It's supposed to feel scary. It was like a little overwhelming. And I was like, I don't want to admit that I'm scared to read a phone script, but I was scared. But you know what you can do on the front end, and we're going to make sure you have prepared, is that you've already read the phone script so many times that you're not worried about it when you go to dial. So we're very proactive here. And then the fourth thing is going to be you're plugging into the virtual office in training. Now you might say, what's the virtual office? The virtual office is exactly what it sounds like. It's a Zoom room that we all jump into. That's our office, if you will. So to our point of schedule, if you're not on the virtual office, you essentially didn't show up for your shift. That's the easiest way to look at it as a new agent, is that W-2 mindset. But you're plugged in there, and you might say, why is that important? Well, as a brand new agent, the last thing that anybody that would have invited you on this call would want for you is for you to sit there and think, I need to learn the product lines. I need to learn how to pitch it to people. I need to learn everything before I start. That would be counterproductive. So no, what we do in essentially our Zoom room is we have breakout rooms within there. So there's small groups essentially that will get together. Now, when you're a brand new agent, we have a new agent room that's designated to just that. Brand new agents who are just getting started, to make sure that you're unmuted in that room and we can give you real-time feedback. If you can get real-time feedback if you had the best salesperson that you could think of in your ear, giving you real-time feedback on what to say to somebody as you're going through your first couple of presentations, almost like the quarterback coach analogy. What we will expect from you should you join is in your first, until you are essentially issuing, you know, 15 to $20,000 and you feel comfortable, we're going to have you in that new agent room, not to babysit you, but it's actually a really kind gesture, and quite frankly, most teams don't do it. But those 3 hours are designated to brand new agents to make sure that you're unmuted, you have your headset on where you can hear us on Zoom, and you have your client on speaker. That way, as your client's talking, we can tell you what to say through your headphones should you need it, and we can help you overcome things sooner than later. So you're literally like on the job training. And I think back to when I got started, and I'm like, man, we were in the home face to face with people. Like, I couldn't even I couldn't pull out my script and say, this is what I have to say, right? So it's like utilizing that is going to be huge. And I will speak for the entire Solidity Insurance Group. If you're not going to plug into Zoom, or into an office, like we're not going to work with you. We're just not. It doesn't make sense for us. And we don't expect you or want you to think that you know everything day one. That would be really weird. So these are 4 quick keys to success. Here you'll see some agent testimonials. I would screenshot this if I were you. I'm not going to read off all 3 of them, but they all have very different stories and they all got started with us in 2025. So just we have Rose, Brienne, and Leo, absolutely amazing people, but all came from very different backgrounds. Most were not sales and they're killing it here. So why not you? And now before we wrap up, Heather, I can't see my screen, but Heather, are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. If you could just give a quick, testimonial kind of to your experience, thus far with Family First Life.
Of course. My name is Heather Robeson. I live in El Paso, Texas, but I'm actually in Phoenix, Arizona right now, which is one of my favorite things about what we do. Not everybody travels or like to travel, but that's one of the most important things that attracted me to Family First Life was that I still got to be independent. I've always been an independent person. So coming here, I'm able to travel wherever I want. Whenever I want, I work from an RV, I work from hotels is where I am right now. And that was the thing that I like most. I got to do what I wanted to do. I have twins who are 16 and they work with me and we just get to be independent. So previously, before joining an FFL, I was in the teaching industry. So I was kind of stuck to what they told me to do. Um, and you really truly have to be good at, not gonna lie, you have to be good at being uh, where you make your schedule and you stick to it. There's a word for that. I'm drawing a blank here. But when I left that
Accountable.
industry, that accountable, thank you. When I left that industry, I knew that's what I wanted. I didn't want to work for anybody else anymore. So that really excited me about FFL. Since joining FFL, I've been here for 3.5, 4 years. I have hit Hall of Fame twice. It's once you do it once, it's almost like riding a bike and you never go back. But also starting to build a team. And guys, if you think you don't want to build a team now, it's probably normal. I didn't even think that it made sense to build a team. But once you get there, you will. So always just invite the person that, invite somebody to these calls because it might be good for them, even if you don't think you can train them. That's what we're here for. The results that you get here since joining, as well as being, Hall of Famer, my highest month was 75,000 in a month. It's not average. The average agent writes about 10,000 a month. So, the system works. You just have to follow it. Whatever you think you're doing right now and whatever you think you're going to do, listen to who's bringing you on. They know what they're doing. We know what we're doing. You saw it in all the charts. There's nothing about me that makes me special. I'm just a normal gal from El Paso, Texas. Um, but because of what we have here, training, the Zooms, the people who want to help and want to see you win, and the systems, those are the crazy things that'll actually make the actual sound of crazy, like this is all crazy stuff, real. Like it really happens. So Thank you, Marisa.
Thank you, Heather. I appreciate you just being willing to share and just thank you for being you. But guys, these are just a couple testimonials. Thank you, Heather, for doing that one live for me. And you might hear 75 or wow, and be like, wow, that's a lot of money. And like, it is a lot of money. Like, and we know that's not normal, right? But it's like, once you get into it, to Heather's point, does everybody make 75 a month? No. But if the average agent, meaning we take every agent across the board, is making about 10, I mean, respectfully, like most careers, that's difficult to make. So, I mean, that's exciting even just to rehear it. So, now all of that stuff being said, get back with the person that invited you to this business overview meeting. There's going to be an A, B, or C. C is see you later. It's not for me right now. Love you, but that's totally fine with us. B, you're in, but you have some questions. Totally get that. Always want to make sure all your questions are answered before getting started. And then A, I'm all in. Send me the new agent requirements. That was me. I was like, I saw the leads, I saw the leadership, and I was like, I'm in. So I was all in. Text the person that invited you to this meeting, get back with them, A, B, or C.